I'm Damini, your host for today, and today we have with us Advocate Amiya Kumarpati, who's an associate at Khetan and Company. Welcome, sir, and thank you so much for accepting our invitation.
Thank you so much, Damini, for extending the invitation, and it's definitely going to be a real pleasure for me to interact with you all guys.
Thank you so much, sir. So, without taking your much time, we'll just proceed with the questions. So, the trend is that I never introduce a guest because I might miss on something. So, I request you to please introduce yourself. Just tell us something about your college life, your career.
Okay, now that's a very tricky question, and that's a very safe bet you played right now. So, okay, fine. So, technically, as going by my name is Amiya Kumarpati, as everyone knows right here, right now. And I graduated from Damodaram Sanjeevaya National Law University. I'm a 2017 graduate. And post that, I started my job with Link Legal India Law Services back in Bangalore in 2017 itself. I had interned with them once in 2016, and based on that, I got a PPO, but after my graduation, not before my graduation though. And after working with Link Legal for around a brief period of 10 to 11 months, I shifted to K Law, and I worked there for a year in K Law Bangalore. And post that, I got interviewed for Khetan Mumbai mainly. And post that, I shifted to Mumbai, and I'm with Khetan since September 2019.
You just mentioned that you interned at a particular firm and then you also got your job over there. So do you think that
Yes.
internships play a very major role for law students particularly?
Exactly.
So what would you say regarding
Exactly.
that? Because finding internship is a big task nowadays for law students, and getting internship in a big law firm is a big thing. So what would you say
It,
regarding that?
so definitely, that's a very good question which you asked, Damini. So one of the most practical problems which all the law students face right now is fetching an internship with a proper law firm, may say it a tier one or a tier two or even a tier three law firm. Now, coming from a non-legal background, I'm a first generation lawyer, unfortunately, or fortunately, you can say both, but I'm a first generation lawyer. It was very tough for me to fetch an internship even with an advocate because no one in our family knows a proper advocate in our state or even outside our state. So working in a law school, like studying in a law school and making your social connects, that is really very important. So once you have to, as the very foremost activity in a law school, you have to definitely focus on your grades. Apart from that, you should definitely focus on your moot court competitions and paper presentations. When you go for moot courts, when you go for seminars, you basically broaden your circle. You meet hundreds of people. You discuss with them. You discuss your ideas. You make friendships with them. You have a social connect with them. And based on that, you start getting to know about certain internship vacancies in and around law firms over in India, where those people, those of your social connects, they may help you get an internship over at that specific law firm or with a specific advocate, or at least at the end of the day, when there is an internship opportunity which you are may not be aware of, your social connect can definitely help you get being like help you with that specific information which you are not aware of. So at the end of the day, social connect is very important as a law student. Secondly, as a first generation lawyer, it is very tough to get an internship. I have also faced that in the last 5 years. And technically, you just have to be on your toes all the time. Check for opportunities online. There are various good websites which discuss, like which gives information about internship vacancies in and around law firms or with advocates. At back during our times in law school, I'll say Loctopus helped us a lot. It was one of the major websites which definitely gave us an insight as to what a law student has to do during his law school time and how one should shape up his career, what kind of career lies ahead of a law school, and what all internship opportunities are available out there in the brief, bigger legal domain. So yes, you always have to be on your toes. Unfortunately, that's the harsh truth. If you don't have any legal background or if you don't have any contacts per se. But at the end of the day, it is not impossible for getting an internship with a law firm. It all depends on how you perform in that specific law firm during that specific time period. Even if it's a tier 3 law firm, even if it's a tier 4 law firm, that doesn't matter. At the end of the day, your learning matters a lot.
You said that, moot court competitions or other competitions matters a lot in your CV.
Right.
So what would you say regarding, like, what is an ideal CV as per you? I
For
think that there
me,
is no such ideal CV, but yes, what kind of
exactly.
information or what kind of certifications should a student mention in the CV?
Okay, so based on my limited information or based on my limited I'll say knowledge, what I prefer basically first and foremost thing your grades. That goes around to a very brief and longer run where your grades will matter a lot even after like 5 years down the line when you start with your career. Even when you go to a tier 2 law firm or a tier 1 law firm, or even if you go to any advocate for practice, your grades will matter a lot. That because at the end of the day, no such lawyer or no such law firm will go through your CV in detail and discuss what all you did in your internship. Because law firms, for example, I'll just tell you the practical scenario. Law firms in a day they get around 200-250 CVs applications. Now the HRs or the reporting partners, they don't have time to go through each and every word you have mentioned in your CV. The first and foremost thing they will see what is the CGPA the student has received in the last 5 years. Based on that CGPA, if your CGPA is decent enough, that decent enough mark is like totally dependent on various factors. One partner may say out of say 7, decent enough CGPA will be 5 or decent enough CGPA will be 6. But again, at the end of the day, just try to maintain at least 75 to 80% of your total CGPA. That's a decent enough CGPA, which definitely will earmark your CV, which will distinguish your CV from other CVs which are lying around in the inbox of the specific law firm. First and foremost, CGPA. Secondly, moot court. Moot courts play a very important role. Now, if you are planning to go for judiciary or if you are planning to go for public service examinations, moot courts may not help because that's not a specific criteria. Now, if you're planning to go for advocacy practice, then obviously moot court will definitely help you a lot because it will focus on your speaking skills, on your verbal skills, first and foremost. Secondly, it will help you on your drafting skills. It will help you on your research and ability. And fourth, it will help you working in a specific team, a team building exercise. So all these things will definitely help you when you're going for a practice or if you're going for a law firm job. So moot court is, as per my limited knowledge, I would rather say that uh, going for a proper moot court with proper research, proper hard work, and your diligence will definitely help you run for a longer run in the near future. Thirdly, publications. Publications will help you in your drafting skills. Even if you go for practice or judiciary or law firm, at the end of the day, you will be drafting hundreds and thousands of pages of documents, starting from agreements to plains to written submissions. Everything will be on your keyboard. Everything you have to draft from scratch. Now, for that, publications help a lot. Publications can be of different. You can work on different areas of law because now law is not only specific to criminal law or IP or corporate. It has extended to space and IP. It has extended to environmental law. There's a different foray of law. In the initial years, you may not be sure like which area of law you want to work on in the near future. So at least in the first 3 years, try to write on each and every aspect you can, starting from environmental law, starting from IP, corporate, constitution, criminal, whatever is of interest to you. The way you start writing, the way you start reading the law, definitely will build up interest. And once you get that flair of writing, nobody's going to stop you. You are unstoppable, and that will definitely help you in the longer run. So if I can just step it down, first CGPA, second moot courts, third publications. Post that, you can definitely go for seminars, MUNs, mock trial. All those are dependent on your interest.
So, just to ask a follow-up question, you said that marks matters a lot.
Yes.
Whenever I talk to a guest, they always say, like, there are some guests who always say that marks really matters a lot. But just to ask you as well, do you really think that marks matters a lot? Because some students will be watching this video, they'll say that we don't get, good marks. So won't we get good placements at all? So what would you say regarding that?
So just to break the glass ceiling for the very first time, a CGPA helps a lot. I know certain people who had very bad CGPAs, but now they are doing so well in their life. So at the end of the day, marks doesn't matter only, I'll say. But yes, as a first impression, as they say, the first impression goes for the last impression. Your CGPA will be a determining factor to break into a law firm or to break into a specific practice area. That will help. That will be a determinant factor, I'll say. Once you get into a law firm, it's your ability, it's your hard work, your determination, your patience, your virtue that will help you move ahead. At that point of time, after you get into a profession, or after you get into a practice or into a law firm or into a different job, your CGPA won't matter at all. It's all about your experience, the way you conduct yourself. But just for example, just keep yourself at the place of a recruiter. Once you receive, like every single day, if you are receiving hundreds of CVs, I'm just telling you about a practical issue right now. If you're getting hundreds of CVs on a day, and every CV will be at least of 2 to 3 pages max. Now, every day, will it be possible, humanly possible, for a law firm HR or a partner to go through hundreds of CVs in detail? First and foremost thing, they will just specify a criteria. Okay, fine. If any student is from this college, tick mark. If a student has scored this much, tick mark. They also have certain determinant factors. Now, to help them achieve that, just for a first crack, CGPA matters. And if I can take it on a different aspect also, technically, what a recruiter also sees, if your CGPA is at a good track, that shows your sincerity back in law school. Because what you did in 5 years of law school, nobody's gonna see that, right? Like your reporting partner or the HR, they may not know what you did in 5 years of law school. Your CGPA will be a reflection of what you did in law school, how sincere you were, how you faced all the criticisms, all the problems, all the practical issues back in law school, and still you came up with a very good CGPA. So that is one of the major determinant for any such person who's gonna judge your CV. So I would rather say try to maintain a decent CGPA. You do not have to be a topper altogether. I was not a topper though. So decent CGPA.
Okay.
That's
So one more question. I think students will be watching this video. They'll surely ask it in the comment box. Is sometimes what happens is we really don't know what is the area of specialization, right? Like I'm also a law student, so even I don't know till now where I specialize or I feel very confused when someone asks me to go for a
right.
paper publication or write any kind of
Mhm.
research paper. So what would you suggest to students who say seriously don't have any idea that which kind of topics they should go for, because I think choosing a topic is a very big task nowadays. So what did you say for them? Because
Exactly.
some might say that we are just in second year, we are just in third year, so we don't know where to specialize and how to go for that. So any suggestion for them?
So I'll take a step back here. So when you asked me that question, like how, like what should I suggest if a person has to build up their CV? What should be the determinant factors? As I said, one should be a CGPA, second will be a moot court, third will be the publications. And exactly, including the moot courts and publications, internship is also one of the very important factors. It's like CGPA, internships, moot courts, and your publications. So internships play a very important role in shaping up your career and helping you to determine what area of law you should go for. So what I did back in my law school days, I started with internships with NGOs. Then I shifted to an advocate. I went to Calcutta High Court. I interned under a specific senior advocate. Then I shifted to law firms, not only corporate law firms. I worked with the IP law firm in Bangalore. I worked with a litigation law firm. And then I worked with certain corporate law firms. I worked with the employment law firm. When you start working with these law firms, you will definitely get to know the practical side of the law. Because back in law school, you deal with Companies Act, specific provisions. In relation to employment law, you deal with EPF, ESI, and certain legislations. But in the practical side of it, there's a whole new area of work which is not dealt back in law school. So internships give you a practical aspect as to what you are going to get after 5 years of law school. So internships will help you what area you want to specialize in, what area interests you. Because for example, back in law school, IP used to interest me a lot. But after I went for internship, IP didn't interest me that much after I saw the practical side of the work. Corporate used to be very tough according to me initially, but after I went through different internships, I got this inclination that okay, fine, I want to practice corporate. I want to get into that foray altogether. So internships help a lot. Second thing, after internships, moot court competitions. So when you see moot court competitions, always try to go through such moot court competitions where you have a proper hold of law. So in your first year, what I suggest, you shouldn't go for a corporate law moot court, because in your first year you're only specific to law of torts, constitution, criminal law. Corporate law will come in your second year or even your third year. That will definitely take you some patience, some understanding, technical understanding to get into the provisions of corporate law. So initially, always try to build that initial interest and flair of getting into a moot court, going through such laws which you have already studied. So what I did back in law school, in my first year and second year, I always focused on constitutional moot court or even criminal law moot court. From my third year onwards, I started for investment law moot court, securities law, and corporate law. So that will help. When you start with the moot court competition, if you see, the whole problem lies with one specific area of law, or at least it's a mix of 2 or 3 specific areas of law. And when you start working on a moot court competition, when you start your proper research, you're not only delving into that 1 or 2 specific provisions of the law, you are reading the whole Bayer Act. If it's a problem of Companies Act, you are reading the whole Bayer Act of Companies Act, or at least specific chapters of Companies Act. When you delve deep into it, you read the provision, you read the commentary, you read the judgments. That will definitely bring out an interest. Okay, fine, this is quite interesting, or this is quite boring. There's always two ends of it. When you start going for moot court competitions, you read different laws, you read different judgments, and technically that will help you develop an interest and understand which area you would like to specialize in. So moot court competitions, internships go hand in hand. And after you fathom these two things, the third one will be publication. When you read the law and try to jot it down in black and white, that will help you in drafting. So all these three things, if you can do or fathom in your law school, that will definitely help you determine which area you would like to specialize in after your fourth year. That will give you much clarity.
I think you have clarified everything. So the students, if they have any doubt, then surely listen to this interview. So to be on a more informal side now, so we'll play a rapid fire. Okay. So I'll ask you some questions. You quickly have to answer them. You need not to Google the answers at all. Are you ready? Okay. So the first question for you is, just tell me your worst experience of law school.
Worst experience of law school. So we had this, I'll say, open challenger round for a moot court competition. We were really very enthusiastic to get into that moot court competition. We researched and we worked like day and night for the specific moot court competition. And we cleared around 3 rounds of that open challenger round. The fourth round was being judged by one external lawyer. He was a practicing lawyer in Visakhapatnam District Court. The problem was very specific to constitutional law, but he started questioning us on Evidence Act, and I was not very good on Evidence Act, the whole procedural part of it. So I faltered, and we lost that open challenge round by a mere 5 or 10 marks. So that was quite disappointing for my whole team, and it was the worst experience I had ever, basically.
And what was your best experience?
Best experience? Okay, so in 2017, we went for our last moot court competition. I was very lucky back in my law school that I had a very good team, good moot court team, which I founded in my second year. We formed a very good team, and it lasted for the last for the next 4 years of my law school till 2017. So our last moot court competition was this 34th All India Bar Moot Court competition, which was held in Hyderabad. So it consists of 4 problems, 4 moot court problems, and there will be like 8 memorandums which we had to prepare, memorials which we have to prepare within 15 days. We completed it. We went to Hyderabad. We had sleepless nights and everything. We only could qualify till the quarterfinal rounds, but and we were like not hopeful. Okay, fine, no one's gonna get any award for best memorial or best speaker. So we anyway were chilling in our hotel rooms, no, hostel room, sorry. And all of a sudden, we got a call from the organizing committee. Sir, your name has been announced in the your name's gonna get announced in the conference hall in the valedictory ceremony. Please join us in the next 15 minutes. So I was like, what kind of an announcement it is? So they're like, you got the best speaker award, sir. Please come and take the award. So that was the best experience for me because that was my last moot court competition which I attended, and that was the last award which I got from that university.
Okay, so I think best advocate ka award, that was good, sir. So after that, just tell me, like, were you a good student at college, attending the classes every day? You were the active student? No. Okay. Then tell me or the
No, no,
percentage
no.
of the attendance.
Attendance, we had to maintain the 75% attendance, or else we were not allowed to enter the examination hall. So 75% mandatory I had to ensure, or if
So
I
you
was
were
going below
able to
75%,
maintain that 75%, right?
whenever I used to falter, I used to get a medical certificate somehow.
Oh, wow. I think if your professors will see this interview, they'll surely have an idea that what you used to do, right?
Exactly. Or else, so during certain times, we used to get leeway due to moot court
Yeah,
competitions,
yeah.
and if
On
you
duty
like,
leave, right?
so.
This happens every time,
But
yeah, in
again,
every college, yeah. Okay. So
but
just tell me,
75% I used to manage them.
yeah, that was mandatory, so you had to, right? So just tell
Right.
me, was there any professor who used to cut your attendance even if you don't talk? It happens with me.
Yeah, there
So
was
yeah, that is why I'm asking you.
there were certain professors, but nobody actually cut my attendance. They're like quite good with me, thankfully. I was an ideal student who used to sit in the second bench, not in the first bench, but in the second bench, used to take notes properly, and used to be a proper good student, but not that kind of a good student who used to read everything before class and come and ask thousands of questions. I was only attentive during law school. So thankfully, nobody cut my attendance though. Even though if I used to enter late in the class, they were quite kind enough to me.
Okay, so the next question for you would be, what is a lawyer as per you? Lawyer is equal to what?
Lawyer is equal to a savior, I would rather say. Savior in terms of helping a common man, or if you ask a corporate lawyer, it's like helping an organization, starting from helping their employees, helping their investments. And if you ask for a common lawyer, starting from helping a common man for their property, for their life, everything. So at the end of the day, a lawyer is a savior.
And if I give you a chance, not me, if you are given a chance to produce any movie or direct any movie, so what
Mhm.
would be the theme of that movie?
It would be a woman empowerment because that is a
Okay.
much needed aspect of at this hour. If you see recently, Justice Sindhu Malhotra, she retired, and one of the major comments which came from one of the decorated judges, D.Y. Chandrachud, that at the end of the day, right now, there's only one female justice, the Supreme Court of India, and that's a major alarming factor right now. So, women empowerment in each and every aspect of area of interest, that is one of the major interests which I have. If I produce a movie or if I direct a movie, that will be my theme.
In a recent session with Ms. Nukriti, who's the Chief Administrator Officer of
Mhm.
Live Law, I asked her this
Right.
question that what would be the
Yeah.
theme of the movie if she's given a chance. She said that
Mhm.
she'll produce or direct a movie based on the theme of first generation lawyers. So
Oh, that's
what would you
really
say
nice.
regarding
That's
that? If
really
you're
good.
if someone tells you to produce a movie based on the theme of first generation lawyers, what would you like to show?
The harsh reality behind the problems faced by the first generation law, starting from getting good grades, fetching an internship, deciding on which area of law they would like to practice, and the problems they face in law school, the problems they face outside the law school, every single thing. At the end of the day, I will show what I have faced because I was a first generation lawyer. And there are certain students, those who are financially not very sound, and the problems which they faced were quite enormous than what I faced. So All those things I would definitely like to show.
Yes, I'll also be a first generation lawyer, so I can actually relate it because the journey
I
so
would
far was,
definitely take notes from you.
yeah, because the journey so far was full of, many ups and downs, and finding internship is a big task because no one replies. Because no one actually
Everyone.
replies. Even if you send a follow-up mail, you have to send up the follow-up mail twice, thrice, even in a conversation with advocate Abhinav Srivastava and advocate Tariq Khan, they also
Mhm.
said that nobody replies. Nobody at all,
Exactly.
right? So yeah, that
The
actually
same thing happened
disappoints
with
me
me
a
also
lot
back
because I have so many hopes when I send that application and after that I'm not getting reply. So I always get into depression for some time. Oh my god, my CV, my cover letter, and waiting for so many months. So yeah, that is
that
something which
happens.
I think everyone faces, particularly the first generation lawyers.
Even
So
I
the
feel that
last
back in law
question,
school.
yeah. So the last question for you for this rapid fire round would be, if you are given a chance to amend or change any kind of section, article, or any Bear Act of the Bear Act,
Mhm.
so what would it be and why?
I would definitely like to ensure that the usage of physical currency in India, that should be eradicated altogether. All the payments should be done digitally, because at the end of the day, that will help curb the whole menace of black money. There will be no such usage of physical currency. Every money, every transaction will be tracked, and all the authorities can track wherever the transaction is going. Everything will be digital. So at the end of the day, it will save the cost to Indian government also while printing such physical money, and it will ensure transparency. So that's what I think I will do if
Yeah, you
I'm
will do,
given a
but
chance.
just to ask a follow-up questions because the viewers might have this question in their mind that to go for a digital India campaign, digital India campaign has already been announced by the government and they are actually working on it. But do you really think that, this digital payment, uh, this digital payment would work for the rural India? Because some people don't even have a phone, they do not know about the online transactions through Paytm, Google Pay, or something like that. Do you really think that would work?
So uh, if I'll say after this whole demonetization thing started, Paytm, Google Pay, everything started penetrating through the rural India aspect as well. So if we go to a tier 4 city right now, every single person has a smartphone in their hand. Even if they don't have a smartphone, they have a specific normal phone. And through that also, you can initiate a proper digital transaction. I'm sorry. And based on that, if we are planning for digital India, and if we are planning for digital transaction to take over the physical currency and based transaction on that, there will be certain initiatives that can be taken up where specific bank accounts can be opened for each and every individual, which is being opened right now under the Prime Minister's scheme. And after that, I can say that once this aim is taken up on a rapid pace, I can say that this whole process of usage of physical currency can be eradicated. It
Yeah,
may
there's
take
a
some
long
time,
way
but
to go, I think. It will take some time, right?
it will take
Yeah,
some time.
it will
But we
actually.
can start somewhere.
Yeah, we need to
Always.
start it from now only.
Yes,
And I think the youth is the one who's actually using the online payment sections, right? The
exactly.
Paytm, Google Pay, Beam, UPI,
That's
everything is
that's
being
hassle
used
free.
by them. Yeah.
That's hassle free actually.
Yes. So I think our rapid fire game is up now. So to ask you more formal question, sorry, now a
Okay.
formal question. To talk about the batch of 2020 or, the students who are in fifth year right now and they are going to be
Mhm.
graduated soon. What kind of suggestions would you give to them? Because they might be very worried because of this pandemic or,
Yes.
the recent
Right.
changes which have been brought by the BCI. So, everyone is very worried about their career right now. So, what suggestions would you give?
Suggestion per se, I would rather say that they should not get worried altogether right now because the market is opening. Earlier, back in 2020, the market was totally shut because no one knew what will be the repercussions of COVID-19. But right now, everyone's taking it as it is. Market is opening properly, trade is happening, law firms are opening up, and recruitments are happening. So I would rather suggest the students to hone up their skills, read up the amendments, read up the law, see what all developments are happening in the area of law in and around India, outside India, keep themselves updated, and hope for the best.
Yes, sir. And just one more question, like you are in Khaitan right now,
Correct.
everyone has a dream of working in Khaitan. So any
Mhm.
suggestions for people who are applying for Khaitan, or what is the procedure being followed in your firm for the internships or the recruitment? Can you please
So
specify so that the people have a better idea?
So what I understand, internship, there's a specific link in the Khaitan's webpage where one has to apply for an internship. Internship is totally being given on merit. There's no such preference that one has to be from a national law university or not. I have seen interns from private law schools who have done really good during their internships. And also during internships, they are being assessed by the partners and by all the team members with whom they have worked. And accordingly, an assessment form is also given. And most of the students, most of the interns, they get absorbed into the team based on their internship, the way they work, how hardworking they are, how smart working they are, how do they build a rapport with their associates, their senior associates, the partners. And I have worked with two interns in the last 1.5 years where they got absorbed in our team. They got a PPO because they're really good in their work. So it's a fair game, it's a fair play.
Okay.
You just have to apply and follow up with the firm.
That's good to know that people from each and every college can, apply over there, and there is no such criteria for NLUs or the private colleges or the semi-government colleges. Just one last question
There is
from
no such
my
thing.
side. Yeah. Sir,
Mhm.
I think that when you are in a legal profession or in this field of legal law,
Mhm.
do you think that chain of networks actually play a major role in the market? Because what I've seen through LinkedIn as well, if you have good connections, if you have a good relationships with the connection from the corporate worlds or the lawyers, you'll better have
Mhm.
a, what do you call it, a broader scope of opportunities in the market. So do you really think so? And what would you say to
Indeed,
others
yes.
who will say that seriously, I don't have any connection with the lawyer, I don't have any connection with the lawyer from the corporate sector? So what would you say to them, how to start building those relationships with the lawyers?
So it all depends on how like well you can connect with a specific person. So technically, for example, if you are going for a moot court competition, you are going to meet a specific set of lawyers, starting from the judges and faculties out there, students out there. So you connect with them. You start your connection with the students, with the lawyers who judge you in the preliminary rounds, in the quarterfinal rounds. Ask them about your performance. Take a brief, I can say, a brief statement as to how your performance was. Based on that, you connect with them. You say, sir, if I have any doubts, I'll definitely reach out to you. That's how you make a contact. You start that from the very start of your law school. Start making contacts, start making connects when you are interning with a specific law firm. Work hard, be in their good books, discuss your discuss your interpretations with them. They will be very happy to discuss the legal points, the non-legal points with you if you are open to discuss that with them. So that's how you make contacts. And yes, in this field, I would rather say with knowledge and with contacts, you will definitely go a very, very long way. And contacts will help you a lot in the longer run, because that's how it helped me in the longer run.
Yes, sir. So, once again, I would like to extend my gratitude to you for giving your valuable time, and you actually accepted our invitation on a very short notice. And I must say, you are actually very active on LinkedIn, and you actually reply to the students who actually text you for any kind of opportunity or any doubt. So I think the viewers can connect with Sir on LinkedIn. I'll share the username with them. And if they have any doubts, queries, they can easily comment it in the chat box, and
Definitely.
Sir would try to reply each one of them, right?
Definitely. That's the least I can do, actually.
Yes, sir. So thank you so much once again for accepting our invitation. And I must say to all the viewers that Sir is actually very active on LinkedIn, and you can text him anytime. He's ready to reply you. So you can expect a reply
Pleasure
from
has
him
been
at least. Thank you so
pleasure
much,
has
sir.
been all mine, Ramani. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you.